Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism, and can you believe it's already Friday? It seems like yesterday was like Tuesday, maybe. I don't really know where the week has gone, but I do know that it's the day that I would normally be answering your questions. But I guess the week went by so quickly that, I don't know, people forgot to send questions in, which means I don't have any questions to answer this week. And normally I would wind up doing just a regular episode where I talk about some kind of, I don't know, creativity sort of topic. There was something that I was talking about on Monday that I said I am going to try to get to, but I don't remember what that was. But there was some pretty big news that came out yesterday about a topic that I've been covering for several years. So I figure, you know what? Let's go ahead, give an update. This specifically about the Ross Ulbricht trial, and, well, there's not good news. The story from Ars Technica, and yes, the link will be in the show notes. You can read it at your leisure. Ars Technica reports the federal judge overseeing the trial of Ross Ulbricht, of course, being the man who admits to having created the Silk Road, but does not admit to having operated it the entire time that it was in operation. And then he wound up taking the reins again just before the site wound up getting shut down. Again, Ulbricht was sentenced to 2 life sentences plus 40 years for running a website. 2 life sentences plus 40 years for running a website. The people on the website that were actually selling drugs got 10-year sentences or less. The federal agents that were involved in bringing down the site, and by that I mean they were extorting money and laundering money and stealing money and setting up all kinds of things, they, on their corruption and laundering and extortion charges, got less than 7 years. And we only know about 2 of the agents. There is information floating around that implies that there might be more, but we don't know for sure. And, well, that's part of why the Ulbricht legal team here filed their motion called a Rule 33 motion. Again, let me jump back into the article. That motion was an attempt to extend the normal 3-year window for post-conviction relief. In essence, the move stifles Ulbricht's new attorney's extraordinary efforts to reopen the case with new exculpatory evidence on the off chance that it exists. Now, we know that there is some exculpatory evidence, but the judge denied that. And on February 5th, in a handwritten note, U.S. District Judge Katherine Forrest blocked efforts by Ulbricht's new lawyer, Paul Grant, to go beyond the standard 36-month period, allowed in what is called a Rule 33 motion. Grant took over the case from Ulbricht's previous counsel, Joshua Draytell, in June of last year, shortly after an appellate court upheld Ulbricht's conviction and double life plus 40-year sentence. Judge Forrest wrote the motion to extend time for a Rule 33 motion is denied. A Rule 33 motion is not an opportunity to relitigate that which has already been litigated or to engage in a fishing expedition for new evidence. The court appreciates that Mr. Grant was not involved in the trial, but the transcript reveals that the very evidence to which he now points, that the FBI was monitoring the defendant's online movements, was explicitly known at trial. But what wasn't necessarily known at trial, this is me cutting in, what was not necessarily known was that there were corrupt federal agents. The defense team knew of one of them, but they were prohibited from bringing that up during the trial because the investigation is ongoing, even though the investigation had actually concluded. Basically, the defense was prohibited from offering a defense to offer what would be reasonable doubt as to the guilt of Ross Ulbricht. The judge here, Katherine Forrest, did everything she could to make sure that the jury wound up convicting Ross Ulbricht. And then the judge used Ross Ulbricht's libertarian leanings and the fact that she said, "I don't believe you feel remorse." She used that as justification for the double life plus 40-year sentence. Continuing on here, February 5th was a very important date because normally from the time of a conviction, in this case February 4th, 2015, there's a 3-year clock during which new evidence can be presented. In a February 5th, 2018 ruling, Grant had asked the court to extend the time while he waited for prosecutors to send him files pertaining to Ulbricht's case that the attorneys felt they should have been sent years ago. Let me read this one more time. On February 5th, 2018, so 3 years and 1 day after the time period for seeking post-conviction relief, Ulbricht's attorney sent a request for an extension because he was waiting for prosecutors to send him files that they should have sent years ago. Oh, yeah, you've got 3 years to file an appeal. Oh, do you want us to actually send you the files that we have? Yeah, we're not going to do that. But you've got 3 years to file an appeal. Oh, you think we have exculpatory evidence? Yeah, we do. We're just not going to send it to you until after the time period is over. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. There's more on this horrible, horrible, sad story here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. We'll jump back into the article from Ars Technica here in just a moment, but first I want to make sure that I tell you about Roberts and Roberts Brokerage. Since 1977, Roberts and Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also deal with platinum and palladium, and they accept cryptocurrencies for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in digital currency. So pick up a phone. Wait until I give you the telephone number, though, before you do. 800-874-9760. Give them a call. They'll give you knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. Or maybe you just want to go take a look at the website, see what they have. Go to rrbi.co. That's rrbi.co. Jumping back into the article from Ars Technica about the bad news for Ross Ulbricht. Again, Judge Katherine Forrest denied the Rule 33 motion seeking to extend the 3-year window for which a defendant here can seek post-conviction relief. She says that a Rule 33 motion is not an opportunity to relitigate that which has been litigated or to engage in a fishing expedition for new evidence. But again, it's pointed out that the attorney asked for the extension because he's still waiting on prosecutors to send him files pertaining to the case that he felt they should have received years ago. Judge Katherine Forrest, who allegedly rapes baby penguins, denied Grant's request the very same day. Although her ruling can be appealed, Grant has vowed to do so. Now, I'm going to pause here to mention why I say she allegedly rapes baby penguins. Because, again, I mentioned last segment that she took Ross Ulbricht's libertarian leanings and the fact that he does not feel remorseful into consideration. She also took into consideration things that were alleged but never charged against Ross Ulbricht, meaning the FBI and the DEA and the Secret Service said some things that they've never actually filed criminal charges on these particular things that, if they were true, there would be criminal charges. They said some things, and Judge Katherine Forrest said, well, it's alleged that he did this thing, so therefore I'm taking that into consideration as well. There's no proof that he did it because he didn't. So I heard on the radio, now I may have initially said it and then listened to a replay. I will neither confirm nor deny, but I did hear on the radio that Katherine Forrest allegedly rapes baby penguins. So I'm just going to keep saying it, and as long as you use the word allegedly from a legal standpoint, you're in the clear. And also, she's a public figure, and I can mock her at will. Plus, she's, a government agent, so I don't feel bad about mocking her and her alleged repeated rape of baby penguins. Continuing on with the article, Grant was attempting to get the case reopened at the district court level. At the same time, different lawyers working on behalf of Ulbricht are trying to convince the Supreme Court to take up the case. Attorneys representing Ulbricht filed their cert petition to the nation's highest court in late December. In early March of this year, federal prosecutors are due to submit their formal response to Ulbricht's petition to the Supreme Court. Once the justices have paperwork from both sides, they will then decide whether or not to hear the case. On his own website, Grant describes himself as a libertarian criminal defense First Amendment lawyer. He previously served, and this is something that I, as a Libertarian Party member, did not know, that, and what was the first name here? Paul Grant served as the national chairman of the Libertarian Party for 2 years during the 1980s, being elected here at the 1983 National Convention and serving through 1985. Now, you might be asking yourself, why did the Libertarians have a convention in 1983? And, well, that's a wonderful answer. And I will answer that. That's because the Libertarian Party, until the early 1990s, had their annual convention in the year before the presidential election, or actually in the odd year, not just the year before the presidential election. So up until 1993. So 93 would have been the convention to elect people serving 94. 1996 was the first year that the Libertarians decided to hold their convention in the even year. So from what I have been told, so that they could wind up being seen as, basically on par with Republicans and Democrats who also have their convention in the election year. Now, there are other reasons that some people wanted to do that. One of them had to do with the 2 periods in which candidates can accept campaign contributions, that being what's considered the primary period prior to the convention, and then the general election period, which is after the convention. Now, one of the downsides of having the nomination convention in the same year as the election is that you then wind up in several states. You wind up shortening your petition window when you need to go collect petitions to get your candidate on the ballot. Now, jumping back from libertarian talk, as in Libertarian Party, back to the Ulbricht case, Grant also says while he isn't practicing law full-time now because he doesn't want to earn his living working in and giving credibility to an unjust system, he is still willing to take on the defense of a few clients in serious and challenging cases despite the difficult odds. Yeah, this is a guy, he's not just looking to make a buck. He's doing it because he believes he can wind up winning this case. Stay tuned. There's more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
During the 2013 Porcupine Freedom Festival, Davi Barker presented an idea for a renegade psychological experiment. Since then, he has refined his idea and put his plan and research into writing. He explains, "We aim to show the world beyond a shadow of a doubt that power corrupts absolutely and corrupt authority deserves no obedience." Authoritarian Sociopathy is available from Amazon.com, all major bookstores, and now available as an audiobook. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry, online at fppradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Jumping back into the article here from Ars Technica, and yes, the link will be in the show notes. As always, you can read it at your leisure. According to Grant, that being Paul Grant, the attorney for Ross Ulbricht, Ulbricht is specifically entitled to see 4 PIN, register, trap, and trace applications that prosecutors filed in 2013. The applications targeted Ulbricht during the course of the investigation. Grant believes those files may contain information as to what internet traffic was traversing through Ulbricht's router at the time he was under investigation. The federal government, Grant claims, promised to send the records to Ulbricht years ago, but never actually did so. Grant's letter to Judge Forrest reads, in part, "The government has never produced the data collected pursuant to 4 of the 5 PIN trap orders, yet argued before trial against suppression of evidence obtained from the PIN registers on the basis of the government's representation as to what each of the PIN registers did and did not collect. If the government lacked the data, the arguments based on the knowledge of a government attorney were made in bad faith. If the government had the data but did not produce the data upon request and misrepresented what it contained in arguments to the court, there would be a serious problem. If the government had the data but did not produce it, that alone would constitute a serious discovery violation." Still, Grant is not sure what, if any, information that could be helpful may be contained in the gigabytes of data. His point is that Ulbricht should have received that years ago. Grant told Ars Technica, "The data's in the mail, but I don't have it," noting that the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI are still attempting to locate the files in their archives. They are still attempting to locate. We know they're in here somewhere. They're somewhere. We need more time to look. I wonder if these files are sitting right next to the weapons of mass destruction that were supposedly in Iraq. Meaning the files don't actually exist. Grant argued that he should have extra time to examine what is contained in the files, particularly when prosecutors have not objected to it. Grant added, "This is not a fishing expedition. We're trying to save a young man's life." A spokesman for the New York-based federal prosecutor's office declined a request for comment from Ars Technica. In addition to the PRTT, that's the Pen Register Trap and Trace, in addition to that, Grant claimed that he still has been unable to get the entire formal case file from Ulbricht's previous attorney, Joshua Draytell. Grant continued, "I've learned that they have a file cabinet of materials that they've never turned over to us, so I don't know what he's looked at." Draytell also did not respond to a request for comment from Ars Technica. Finally, Grant also argued that the 2017 book on the entire saga, American Kingpin, which I believe I talked about specifically because Ross's mother, Lynn, said this thing is full of lies. That was based on interviews with federal agents involved in the case, describes Wi-Fi monitoring and other types of physical surveillance that allowed the agents to pinpoint Ulbricht's precise physical location prior to his arrest. On page 331 of the book, the author wrote that then FBI agent Chris Tarbell performed this specific surveillance, and that the PRTT application, which eventually authorized the surveillance, formed the basis for the Tarbell affidavit to search Ulbricht's laptop. Grant said there's good reason to believe that the affidavit contains false statements. Without seeing the document, however, Grant cannot know for sure. And again, that document, along with troves of other documents, have not been sent to Grant. And the lawyer says, no, it's a fishing expedition. You're waiting to wind up getting these troves of information that the prosecutors have said that they're looking for and should have sent you years ago. But yeah, we're denying your application anyway because, well, there is no justice in the justice system. Now, of course, Judge Katherine Forrest, the alleged penguin raper that she isn't actually going to say that there's no justice in the justice system, but there's no justice in the justice system. The article here from Ars Technica continues. Ars contacted numerous legal experts to see what they made of the ruling. They all agreed that Rule 33 required a very high bar to clear, and at least for now, Grant seemingly had not cleared it. Stephen Salzberg, a law professor at George Washington University, said that Draytell was a veteran criminal defense lawyer and was very likely to have missed anything major. He added, what you have here is the new lawyer coming in and saying it's possible that the government didn't produce something that possibly could be relevant to our defense. You tell me what the newly discovered evidence is, and this isn't it. Salzberg, who previously served as Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the Criminal Division of the Department of Justice, added that there was nothing surprising about the judge's ruling. And I want you to know that, well, sadly, I agree with this attorney here. I'm not surprised by the judge's ruling. I'm not surprised in the least. But I'm still upset about it. Meanwhile, Daniel Richman, a former federal prosecutor and advisor to ex-FBI Director James Comey, said that he agreed with the judge, saying Rule 33 motions always face an uphill battle, and this motion seems to show less evidentiary promise than many. Out of the handful of legal experts Ars contacted for context, only one expressed any hesitation at the judge's decision. I'll tell you who and what he said here in moments on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com.
This is Roger Paxton from Pax Libertas Productions and the Lava Flow Podcast, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Before I tell you who the one favorable expert was, I want to tell you about something that I consider to be a very favorable cryptocurrency. I'm talking about Zencash. It has a focus on users and usability. It's the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, with shielded transactions using zero-knowledge proofs. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and their documentation and wallets are available in many different languages on many different platforms. We're talking Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zensystem.io. That's zensystem.io. Jumping back into the article here from Ars Technica about the sad, not wholly unexpected, but sad news about the Ross Ulbricht trial, to where the Rule 33 motion was denied by Judge Katherine Forrest, claiming that the lawyer was just going on a fishing expedition. Ars Technica contacted numerous legal experts to see what they made of Judge Forrest's ruling. And they say out of the handful of legal experts they contacted for context, only one expressed any hesitation at the judge's decision. Jay Lederman, a California-based defense attorney who has represented numerous computer crime suspects, said that while he understood the reasoning, he didn't necessarily agree with the decision. He told Ars via email, "The judge foreclosed the idea that there may have been something in the files that wasn't brought up in trial. To me, it isn't a fishing expedition, it's thorough lawyering, but I see the judge's point." Yeah, really, really sad. Again, not wholly unexpected, because the entire thing... Let me just say this. To call this a kangaroo court would be offensive to courts presided over by kangaroos. It would be offensive to a court being presided over by Captain Kangaroo. That's how bad and how much of a sham this entire thing was. To where the lawyer, or not the lawyer, but the judge, Katherine Forrest, had set out to make sure that Ross Ulbricht was convicted. She wanted to give him the maximum possible penalty, and she went above and beyond, putting a man in prison for 2 life sentences plus 40 years for running a website. Ross Ulbricht is a hero, not a criminal. Don't forget, every Friday I answer your questions when you send them to me using the contact form ama.fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.